"I've sold your beach house, Mom. We're leaving tomorrow." Those words didn't echo. They detonated. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard my daughter. The crash of the waves outside the window must have twisted her meaning, or perhaps the years of loneliness had finally started to play tricks on me. But when I turned to her, she wasn't joking. Her expression was steady, determined. The same look she used to give me as a child when she'd made up her mind about something, whether it was refusing to eat her peas or demanding to cut her own hair. Only this time it wasn't a tantrum. It was a declaration. The beach house had been in our family for 3 generations. It was where my late husband Michael and I spent every summer morning drinking coffee on the porch, watching the horizon melt into gold. Where our daughter Emma had taken her first steps, her tiny footprints pressed into the wet sand like promises we thought would last forever. It was more than a house. It was a heartbeat, a memory, a piece of us. And now, she'd sold it. I tried to speak, but my voice caught in my throat. "Emma, you can't just—" "I already did," she said quietly, eyes darting away. "It's done, Mom. You'll understand soon." Her tone wasn't cruel, but it was final. That terrified me more than anger would have. The silence between us stretched, filled only by the sound of the sea wind slipping through the open window. The scent of salt and old wood mixed with the faint trace of Emma's perfume, a grown woman's scent layered over the memory of bubblegum and sunscreen. "What's going on?" I whispered. "Why would you do that?" She hesitated, her jaw tightening. "It's not what you think." That line, vague, defensive, was exactly what Michael used to say before his late-night business calls. My stomach twisted. I'd buried those suspicions years ago, after his death, convincing myself that the past was better left untouched. But now hearing those same words from our daughter, it was like watching an old wound reopen, fresh and raw. Emma avoided my eyes, pretending to check her phone. "I'll explain tomorrow, just pack what you need, tomorrow. Always tomorrow. Always a delay before the truth." I looked around the room, at the faded photographs, the chipped seashell lamp, the clock that hadn't ticked since the day Michael died. Everything in that house told a story, and she was erasing it with one decision. Outside, the tide was rising. I watched the waves inch closer to the porch, foaming and relentless like the past itself, never still, never fully gone. I wanted to shout, to demand answers. But instead, I only managed to whisper, "Emma, what aren't you telling me?" She met my eyes then, and for the first time, I saw fear flicker behind her composure. Whatever this was, it wasn't just about the house, it was about the truth buried beneath it. Emma didn't stay the night. She said she had errands to run, but I knew it was an excuse. To avoid me, or maybe to avoid what she'd done. The screen door slammed behind her, and I was left alone with the sea humming its endless song. The same sound that had cradled our family through every chapter of our lives. I sat in the living room, my fingers tracing the grooves of the old coffee table. Michael had built it himself back in '93, the summer we bought the house. He said it was a table strong enough to survive any argument. God, we had so many here. Fights about money, about his work trips, about the late-night calls from clients whose voices I never heard. I had told myself it was all in my head. That he loved me, that love could outlast suspicion. But love is fragile when it's built on secrets. After he died, Emma and I came here every summer. She was 17 then, grieving, angry, silent. I thought the sea would heal us both. For a while it did. She'd sit on the dunes, sketching strangers while I collected shells, pretending that the horizon held answers. But slowly she stopped coming. She said the beach made her sad, that the memories were too heavy. I didn't push her. I just stayed, keeping the place alive for both of us, until today. When I'd asked why she sold the house, she'd said, "You'll understand soon." The words had gnawed at me all afternoon. Understand what? That she no longer cared for what her father built? That she wanted to move on from the past I was still clinging to? I went upstairs to her old room, half expecting it to look the same. But the shelves were bare, the photos gone. Only the pale outlines on the wall remained, ghosts of what used to hang there. I noticed the desk drawer slightly ajar. Inside was a single folded document, heavy paper with an official seal. Property transfer. Buyer, Alan Whitaker. The name hit me like ice water. Alan was Michael's old business partner, the man who stood beside me at the funeral, holding Emma's trembling hand, whispering that he'd always look after her. I hadn't seen him in years, but the mention of him brought back flashes I'd tried to bury. Alan dropping by unannounced, the way he looked at Emma, and the night I caught them on the porch whispering after midnight. No. I pushed the thought away. She'd been a child. Still, the name haunted me. Why would Emma sell to him? Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the window frames like impatient fingers. I folded the paper back and slipped it into my pocket. Heart pounding. For the first time in years, I felt something stir inside me, not just grief, but suspicion. Emma wasn't telling me everything, and maybe I wasn't ready to hear the truth. That night, sleep refused to come. The sea outside sounded different, angrier, almost as if it knew something I didn't. Every creak of the old beams felt like a whisper. Every gust of wind like a reminder that this house had heard things I hadn't. By dawn, I'd made up my mind. I needed answers. Emma arrived just after sunrise, her car crunching against the gravel. She looked startled to see me waiting on the porch, clutching a mug of cold coffee like a weapon. "Mom, you're up early." "I could say the same," I replied, gesturing to the suitcase in her trunk. "Running away before explaining yourself?" Her shoulders stiffened. "I told you, it's complicated." "So make it simple," I said, holding out the folded document I'd found. "Why did you sell it to him?" For the first time, real fear crossed her face. "You went through my things?" "I went through my daughter's lies," I snapped. The words came out sharper than I meant, but I didn't take them back. "Why Alan Whitaker, of all people?" She pressed her lips together, eyes darting toward the sea. "Because it's his house now. It always was, in a way." I blinked, stunned. "What are you talking about? Your father built this place." Her silence said more than any confession could. "Emma," I whispered, "please tell me you're not saying what I think you're saying." Tears welled in her eyes. "Mom, Dad wasn't the man you thought he was. Alan didn't just work with him. They owned this property together. Dad used Alan's name to buy it. He couldn't legally purchase another home because of the tax investigation. When Dad died, Alan let you keep it out of guilt. But now he wants it back." The world tilted. The waves, the air, even my heartbeat all blurred into a dull roar. "And you knew? All these years?" She nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I found the papers after he died. Alan told me the truth last month. He said he'd forgive Dad's debts if I signed over the house." "Forgive his debts?" I repeated bitterly. "He's dead, Emma. What more could he take?" Emma's voice broke. "Me. He could take me." The words hung heavy between us. I searched her face, seeing not a defiant adult, but the same scared little girl who once hid under the stairs during our fights. "What did he do?" I asked quietly. She shook her head. "He said he'd ruin Dad's name if I didn't sell. He has proof, letters, recordings, things that would destroy everything. I just wanted to protect you, Mom. I couldn't let him drag Dad through the mud. Protect me." By erasing the only home we had left, I wanted to hate her. I wanted to scream, but instead, I pulled her close, her sobs muffled against my shoulder. Outside, the waves crashed harder against the shore, as if the ocean itself was trying to drown the truth that had finally surfaced. Emma and I sat in silence for what felt like hours. The house around us seemed to breathe with the same uneasy rhythm as our guilt and confusion. Morning light spilled through the salt-fogged windows, painting everything in pale gold, a cruel contrast to the heaviness in the room. "I thought it ended when your father died," I finally said. My voice trembled, not from anger but from exhaustion. But apparently he left us more ghosts than memories. Emma stared at her hands. "I just wanted to fix it, Mom. I thought if I gave Alan what he wanted, he'd leave us alone." "People like him don't stop taking," I said softly. "They just find new ways to own what isn't theirs." She flinched at my words, but then something shifted in her expression. Resolve, maybe. "Then we fight back," she whispered. "We find out what he's hiding." Before I could stop her, she pulled a thin envelope from her purse and set it on the table. Inside were several photocopied documents, contracts, bank transfers, and a letter in Michael's handwriting. My heart stuttered as I recognized it instantly, that looping scrawl I hadn't seen in over a decade. "Alan, this can't continue. If she ever finds out, it will destroy her and Emma, burn everything." "I'll handle it." My hand flew to my mouth. "He knew," I whispered. "He knew you'd find out someday." Emma's voice was fragile. There's more. She slid another page toward me, a photograph yellowed at the edges. Michael stood beside Alan, both smiling, but between them was a woman I didn't recognize. She was younger, her hand resting casually on Michael's arm, and she wore the same seashell pendant I'd thought was mine alone. "Who is she?" I breathed. "Her name was Lily Marsh," Emma said, eyes glistening. "Alan's wife." The words cut through me like glass. It all made sense now. The late nights, the whispered calls, the guilt that haunted Michael's eyes before he died. He hadn't just betrayed me with his business partner. He'd betrayed everything. And Alan, bitter and vengeful, had kept that truth buried like a loaded weapon, waiting for the day it could destroy what was left of us. Emma's voice cracked. "I think Dad was trying to end it before he died," I finished, my throat tight. "Or before someone made sure he did." Her eyes widened, fear rippling through her like lightning. "You think Alan?" "I don't know," I said, gripping her hand. "But I know this isn't over." Not yet. Outside, the tide was shifting again. The sound of the sea had changed, quieter, as if holding its breath. The horizon darkened, clouds gathering like witnesses. For years, I'd believed grief was my punishment. But now I understood. It was only the beginning. I folded the letters carefully, the paper trembling in my hands. "Pack your things, Emma," I said, my voice steady at last. "We're not leaving the house. We're taking it back." By evening, the storm rolled in. Waves hammered the shore with a fury that matched the turmoil inside me. The sky was a deep bruise, the air sharp with the scent of rain and salt. Emma sat at the table, the paper spread before her like pieces of a broken life we were finally learning how to read. I hadn't seen her look this young, or this brave, in years. "What do we do now?" she asked quietly. The question hung between us, heavy but full of possibility. I poured 2 cups of tea, the simple act grounding me. "We tell the truth," I said. "We tell our story before Alan twists it into his own." She frowned. "You think anyone will listen?" "They will," I said. "Because people always listen to pain. It's what they understand best." A flash of lightning illuminated the living room, catching the edge of a picture frame on the wall. Michael's photograph. His smile felt different now, almost hollow. But instead of the ache I'd carried for years, I felt something quieter, steadier, acceptance. Emma brushed a tear away and said, "I thought selling the house would bury the past." I reached across the table and took her hand. "You can't bury the truth, sweetheart. It grows roots in the dark. The only way to stop it from haunting you is to face it." Outside, the storm began to ease. The waves still roared, but there was a rhythm to it now, steady, almost cleansing. We burned the photocopies that night, not to erase the evidence, but to reclaim it. The smoke drifted up through the chimney, carrying away the last pieces of Michael's deceit. The originals we locked in a box and sealed beneath the floorboards, the house's own heartbeat keeping them safe, a silent witness to everything we had endured. When the firelight flickered against Emma's face, I saw peace there for the first time in years. "Do you hate him?" she asked suddenly. I thought about it. "No," I said finally. "Hate keeps you tethered to what hurt you. I'd rather let go. He took enough already." The next morning, sunlight broke through the clouds, painting the sea in soft gold again, the same light that had once bathed our happiest days. But now it felt different. Not nostalgic. Not mournful. Free. Emma stood beside me on the porch, her hand in mine. "Do you think we can start over?" she asked. "We already have," I said. The waves reached for the shore and retreated, over and over, endings and beginnings in the same breath. The house creaked softly beneath our feet. No longer a shrine to secrets, but a testament to survival. And as the wind swept through the open door, carrying the scent of salt and something new, I finally understood. Some houses aren't just built from wood and stone, they're built from truth. And the moment you stop running from it, you come home again.